This is political dynamite, not just for the Biden presidency, but also for the liberal media. The House Oversight Committee has revealed an extensive influence peddling scheme. Numerous Biden family members took millions of dollars. Among the findings, 20 companies were set up during Biden's vice presidency. Those companies received $10 million from foreign nationals and companies. No idea what those companies actually did other than receive hot money. They went to great lengths to keep everything secret, deliberately hiding transactions to confuse the IRS. But the committee got the bank records, and they don't lie. The findings contradict statements made by the president. He has denied making money from China. That is not accurate. Bank records show the family received millions from China. It is a detailed, comprehensive report, and it is damning. It is also an indictment of the media, which just would not report the story. Why? Because it broke right before the 2020 election, and the liberal media moved heaven and earth to keep it away from voters. That is election interference. This bombshell arrives just as new migrants surge in. The surge begins. It started. The president expects things will, quote, will be a little chaotic for a while. That's very reassuring. And Biden blames Republicans for the budget impasse as default looms. I don't think this president can cope. Third Hour of Varney starts right now. Martha MacCallum joins me.
Hi, guys.
This Wednesday
Good morning.
This is a trifecta of crises, in my opinion, and I don't think the president can cope.
Well, the numbers show that he's having difficulty coping on all of these fronts. And I think you're right to point out all of the people who fell down on the job based on what we heard from Jim Comer this morning. There are still questions about this process that Comer revealed today. What we learned is that the subpoenas produced an enormous number of documents that unravel an incredibly complex weave of financial transactions while Joe Biden was vice president. There were 16 companies that they established that were moving money all through different venues, and then a third of it went to the Biden family on every turn. And I thought Byron Donalds was particularly strong this morning in this presentation. He said, "There's no business. There's no family business."
Yeah.
What do they do?
What do the companies do?
What do they do? I mean, you can, just as an example, right? You look at the Trump companies, right? You can point to all these different real estate transactions. At least you know whatever questions people might have, but you know what the basic industry was. The only potential industry here is consulting, right? Sort of based on experience, very little experience in the areas that they were working in. So now what they have to do, though, is show that there's a link between the money that went into these accounts and policy that was enacted when he was vice president. And that's the next layer here. It's a very important layer. It may turn out that just what has to happen is we have to change the rules on what kind of businesses families can be involved in. Were they getting away with this based on existing laws that they were circumventing? And if that's the case, then obviously the laws have to change. If they can show that policy link, they're going to have an even bigger story. The media has been asleep.
Yes.
Nancy Mace called out the DOJ. She said, "Get off your ass" this morning. Nancy Mace. So, the people, and what about these suspicious activity reports? 175 of them at the banks, and nothing happens? That if that were any of us, we would be getting calls. We would be having to come in and explain what's going on here. But for some reason, those SARs led to nothing until now.
We'd be wearing orange suits. Next case. Martha, we have Democrat Senator Joe Manchin. He's threatening to oppose every one of Biden's EPA, Environmental Protection Agency nominees, because he was double-crossed on building pipelines. Here's what he says. He's afraid the administration's extreme ideologies overshadow their responsibility to ensure long-lasting energy and economic security. Okay, Martha, could Manchin upend the budget discussion when he gets to the Senate?
He could. I mean, obviously, he feels very burned on what happened in the Inflation Reduction Act for him, the pipeline that he was promised that didn't happen, right? And it was a very controversial move for him politically. The other thing that has changed for him is now that he has Jim Justice, the governor of West Virginia, running for his Senate seat. So he has to convince the energy companies based in West Virginia that he is still the guy who was always on their side, because they feel like they got sold down the river on that vote. So now he's trying to sort of compensate for this, it appears, by shutting down these EPA nominees to, sort of rebuild his bona fides with this group at home.
Welcome back to America, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You're over in London.